I am bowling at Olde Line Lanes in Lincoln City with co-owner Donnell Lockery. Donnell, the food has been fantastic.
Thanks, Donna.
There's only one thing that could make it better. I really want something sweet.
You know, we do have some excellent salted chocolate cookies over there.
Oh, yum. I would love that. Would you show me how you make them back at the Culinary Center?
Yeah, sounds good.
All right, we got to finish our game, though. Let's do it. All right, Ethan, Donnell, thank you so much for coming to the Culinary Center.
Thanks,
Right,
Donna.
now, the only thing that was going to drag me away from the lanes was the promise of something sweet. What are you making?
Salted chocolate cookies.
Oh, yum. Walk us through it. Show me what you do.
All right, so first you want to cream your butter and sugar, and then we're going to add some eggs and some vanilla.
And I'm assuming you use pure vanilla extract.
I do. It makes a big difference. And some honey. And the same goes with honey. You want to make sure that you're using a good quality honey, local if possible. All right, so we've got those blended up.
All right.
And then we're going to add our flour and our cocoa powder and some salt and some baking soda. I also think that using a high quality cocoa powder is important as well, something really dark.
All right, and I like that you started that on low, so we don't end up wearing it.
Yeah, I like to call it antiquing, so you don't antique yourself. And then we're gonna add chocolate chips.
That's why she doesn't let me bake.
That is why. And you're just gonna mix these until they're combined. I think whenever you make cookies, you wanna make sure that you don't over mix them.
All right, boy, that didn't take long.
Very easy. I like to use an ice cream scoop whenever I'm making cookies, so this way they all turn out to be the same size.
These scoopers are great. You can find them at your local kitchen store, but they're really nice because instead of using the 2-spoon method to get your cookies out, you just wipe it against the side of the bowl, and they're perfectly portioned every time.
All right, now, Donnell, do you have any little baking tips for any of us? Because you really are the queen of baking.
I like to make sure that the cookie dough is properly chilled before you put it into the oven. It helps from the cookies to just spread all over the sheet tray. So even if you just have them in the cooler for 15 or 20 minutes before you put them in the oven,
It
that's
makes
pretty
a
important.
big difference.
Big difference.
Oh, that's really good. That's a
I
great
also like
tip.
to bake my cookies a little bit hotter, so 375 instead of 350.
Okay.
It keeps them nice and crunchy on the outside and nice and soft and chewy on the inside.
All right, now one of the things that's going to take this cookie over the top, and Donnell already talked about this, is a little bit of salt. But we are not going to use just any salt on this. We're going to be using Jacobsen sea salt. And for those of you that aren't familiar with him, Ben Jacobsen has a salt processing place out in Netards Bay. And that's yet another Oregon thing that you can get that I think is so spectacular. It is a really phenomenal sea salt.
And that's the first commercial salt harvested off of the Oregon coast, right?
Yeah, it is, and that's hard to believe, but yes, he's the first. All right, now this Jacobsen salt that I'm using is a finishing salt. And what that means is that this would go on food as opposed to going in the food. And this is a really nice, coarse, chunky, large grains of salt. And the thing that's so nice about this is when you put it on your food, it doesn't ever melt in the heat of the oven, so it's going to retain that beautiful crunch and texture. So what we're going to do is just flatten these out a little bit. I hope I'm not doing this too much.
Nope, perfect. Now we will, like she said earlier, we will take these now that they're ready and we'll put them in the refrigerator for a little while before we bake them.
I'm going to take my chocolatey hands out of here.
And then they come out of the oven looking like that.
Ta-da! And you can see that the salt has retained its texture. You can clearly see it on there. And like I said, it adds this really nice little salty, crunchy hit with all that delicious chocolate. All right, now, do we have any questions?
What kind of chocolate are you using?
These we used a Ghirardelli chip.
I tend to like that. Milk chocolate is great, but it's almost sometimes too sweet, don't you think?
And somebody sweet somewhere between a 50 or 60% cocoa.
And same with the cocoa powder. You want to end up with the same percentage of cocoa in there as well.
Is there a big difference in taste between kosher salt and sea salt?
Maybe, yes, especially for a finishing salt like this, it's not as it's not as salty tasting. I know that that sounds a little ridiculous because we're talking about salt, but it's a little bit more of a mild flavor. You also get the shape of it is a little bit different. So whenever it crunches in your mouth, that causes a different taste to it as well.
All right, well, I want to thank Ethan and Danelle for coming here and sharing that fabulous recipe.
Thanks, Donna.
And all of you, thank you for coming, and we'll see you on the next Beachside Bites.